Hey guys, this is Red and Blue, your channel on YouTube for all things PSG in English. Please subscribe. We are hours away from our first game in this 25-26 season version of the Champions League. PSG Atalanta tonight in Paris. First game. Lot on the line, as always. And I wanted to do a quick video with, I think, like three areas, three people, three key pieces of the game that really will bear watching tonight and that could really decide the fate of this game. So without further ado, I'll just like jump straight into it. Three things to watch. The first one for me, no surprise, Barcola will be the difference maker tonight. And I think, most of you, I guess, like after the game against Lens, will be expecting him to make the difference in terms of goal scoring and really carrying our attack. We still have a lot of question marks in terms of who will be playing along with him in the front line. Will Ramos be there, or will Luis Enrique prefer playing Mayulu as a false nine? Who between Lee and Kvara, if any, will be fit enough to start on the right, or is Luis Enrique just going to go straight to Mbaye, despite all the doubts we have around him? And so, within that context, Barcola is really this one piece that we're kind of sure of, who's been like, doing great work throughout the start of this season. I think he's already got four goals and one assist or something like this. So pretty amazing stats, pretty amazing on the pitch. He scored 2 against Lens and really, showed his strengths, both in terms of goal scoring, but in terms of also, being the danger man and really being the guy that the opposition defense has got to focus time on, energy around, and who's getting the attention of the defenders. And I think for this particular game as well, I do see another dimension that will be important for Barcola. It will be in his ability to find pockets of space in between their midfield and their defense to help us beat the press. And the way I see it, and I think, that's one of the remnants of the Gasperini's version of Atalanta, is Atalanta trying to press fairly high and trying to go for man-to-man marking in this context. And, if I look at the lineup that they had and the structures that they usually have, they've got 3 in attack between De Ketelaere, Sulemana, and Kristovic, who will, be split between our central defense and Vitinha. They've got 2 fullbacks who will be tracking back between Hakimi and Nuno. They've got 2 in midfield, Darun and Pasalic, who will probably be tracking Joao Neves and Fabian Ruiz. And so, that leaves our front 3 against their back 3, but with all of the uncertainties that we have, I do expect Barcola to be tackling that role of the attacker who drops back, who tries to, find the space in between their defense and their midfield, to open lines of passing and give options to Vitinha, to Hakimi, to Nuno, and, allows them to move the ball back and beat that first and second line of press to move us into attack. It's something that we've seen him do a few times. If you remember, in particular, the game against Bayern Munich in the Club World Cup was one where he did that very well, and he did that a lot, of tracking back and really sitting at the back of their midfield, to offer himself up as a position, and then, have enough space to turn around, to start carrying the ball, to start getting some speed and making runs at their defense. And all of a sudden, not only have you beat the press, but straight away, like, you move them on their back foot and you create danger on their defense. And I think, realistically, Barcola, not only is he the strongest one in our line of attack, but he's going to be facing an opponent in likely Kosunu, who's, not the strongest defender. If I look on the other side, even if Kvara ends up playing, he'd be playing on the right against Scalvini, who's a very hot defensive Italian talent. And so that's a tougher matchup to begin with than what Barcola is likely to get. And so for me, it's going to be a dimension where Barcola is going to be important, and it's going to be another additive element to his game that we need to be mindful of. And so I do really expect him to help make differences in this context as well. Second things to watch, Hakimi under threat, and I think all of our right flank really, but I said Hakimi because Hakimi is really like the only one where we're kind of sure that he's going to be playing. We don't really know who's going to be taking that right attacker position. Whether Lee or Gvara are going to be well enough, whether Mbaye might play there, whether we look at something completely different. Could be like Hakimi playing up front, and then Warren Zaire-Emery or Zabarni playing on the right of defense. There's going to be a question there. But ultimately, if I look at the team of Atalanta and I look at the players that are going to be opposite, on their left side, they've got Scalvini, who I just talked about, who's a pretty hot talent. They've got Zalewski as their fullback, who's quite talented, came out of Inter. He actually played in the final of the Champions League, which isn't a badge of honor on the Inter side, but he got there and he was instrumental to getting there with Inter. And they've got Sulemana as well, who could play like in the space at the back of Hakimi. He's a very, very fast kind of player. So all of a sudden, if there's spaces at the back of Hakimi, he's going to be fast enough that Hakimi won't be able to track back, especially since physically Hakimi has been, a bit doubtful in terms of his level of fitness in the beginning of the season. And then if we play Marquinhos as well, like Marquinhos isn't the fastest defender as well. So all of a sudden, if Suleiman manages to find that space at the back of Hakimi and to the right of Marquinhos, we could end up like in a fairly similar tactical position to what Chelsea did on the left in the final of the Club World Cup. So, like the way Cole Palmer had been able to find space at the back of Nuno Mendes on the left of our defense, and make runs at our defense, create mayhem from that position. Sulemana, even if he's like not half the player that Cole Palmer is, could end up in the same tactical position and could create confusion for us. So something to watch. And like I said, like I think in general, like personally, I've been relatively underwhelmed with Hakimi's performances so far this season. Obviously, he's played a lot of games last season. But I think in terms of, his level of fitness, to me, is a question mark. But also, like, the way it shows is in, like, him missing some easy stuff technically in terms of passes, in terms of controls, instead of making the right choices. And so, yeah, that's something that I'm going to be mindful because, in Ligue 1, ultimately, like we've got enough margin that it doesn't really matter that much. But yeah, against a Champions League opponent, even if it's not the strongest opponent that we could face in the Champions League, yeah, they do have a good left flank and they could be creating trouble there. So we do need to be mindful, and Hakimi will need to step it up a notch and really like get to the next level of his game. So one to watch as well. And then like the third one I had for you guys, moment of truth for Chevalier. Our new goalkeeper. He's had a good start of his PSG career. He's already had, I think, 3 clean sheets. He's already had some glory moments, whether it's deflecting Tauvin's shot at the beginning of the game against Lens, whether it's stopping penalties against Tottenham. But there's also been question marks, in terms of him conceding 3 goals against Toulouse, even if they didn't really matter in the context of that game. In terms of him having confusion with Beraldo that created that free kick at the beginning of the game against Lens that I was just talking about, and even in terms of him conceding 2 against Tottenham in the Super Cup. So now it's Champions League, and we know that in Paris, this is where you need to shine. This is where Donnarumma really left his mark last season. So he will need to show himself worthy. And like I said, like we're likely to face a team that could be fairly aggressive in terms of its pressing. So we will need his passing skills and his distribution skills. We will need to see him do better in these areas than Donnarumma. And once again, like I think I said it in my preview, but if I look at overall like the strengths of this Atalanta side, I don't expect them to be able to dominate us, but it is a Champions League game, so I fully expect them to be able to put us on the back foot at specific moments of the game. Not necessarily for extended moments of the game, but they will have some opportunities. Just a given. It's a Champions League game, so they will have some opportunities. And so Chevalier will have to deliver, and he will have to, deliver in a big way. He will have to stop those opportunities. He will have to make some good saves. He did very well in the Champions League with Lille last season, so he knows the competition and he knows the level of exigence and the level that it calls for, quite simply. But I think everyone will be watching him, and this is going to be the first game where we're really going to be expecting him, because I think the real one for him will be the next one in Barcelona, and that will really be the one where we'll see if he's got what it takes or not. But yeah, like a bad showing against Atalanta will put him on the back foot. A good showing against Atalanta will give him more and more confidence. And yeah, I think tactically we'll need his skill set. He'll need to show why, like Luis Campos said, us losing the Donnarumma was also us getting an opportunity to strengthen our team in different way. And that's really what Lucas Chevalier has got to bring to the table, and what we'll need to be keeping an eye on for this game. So anyway, this is there you have it. Those were, like, for me, my 3 things to watch. And you've got, 2, I guess, in this photo between Barcola and Hakimi. So yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting one. Like I said in my preview, and go watch this if you haven't, I do expect PSG to be, 1 or 2 notches above Atalanta on this game, and us being able to get the win on it. But it is Champions League. We shouldn't go in it being complacent or being full of ourselves or anything like that. We should really go in with the desire to put their head against the water and keep them there and do the job, and score more goals than they do, and continue scoring until the final whistle blows. And yeah, like, it should be ultimately like a fairly interesting game to watch, and hopefully we can get the win. So anyway, let me know what you think of this. Are there any more, like, other things that for you will be critical in these games that will make a difference, and that you personally are going to be interested in seeing? And as always, please drop a like on this video. Please subscribe to the channel. Please hit the bell to get notified of future videos. And don't forget, tonight, ici c'est Paris!